Meet the Ambassador, a program that highlights a friendly chat with the ambassador's impression on the kingdom. Meet the Ambassador with Dr Taghreed Alsaraj and Bandar Asiri. Stay tuned on SRFM.
Each episode, we will informally talk with different ambassadors from around the world in Saudi Arabia. The purpose of the talk is to shed light on the ambassadors themselves living in Saudi and talk about any similarities and differences between our cultures. So our main focus will be on languages, culture, and a bit of storytelling. So stay tuned for Meet the Ambassadors on Saudi Radio. I want you to listen to this clip of music coming up next. So try to guess which country is our guest ambassador from. I hope you had a chance to listen to the music and guess which country our guest is from. On today's episode, we have the French ambassador to Saudi Arabia. His Excellence Ludovic Poul is with us on the line. How are you, Ambassador?
Very well, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Very good pronunciation, Ambassador. Very good Arabic. MashaAllah. So starting with this, the show is going to be focused on language and culture. So we want to kick off our conversation today with the first question is, how many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak naturally French. It's my mother language. Mm-hmm. I speak also English, and I try to speak Arabic. I used to speak German also when I was a student, so I don't use it very much in my daily activities now. So when it comes to Arabic, I studied it first in Egypt, mm-hmm. and we had the chance at the French diplomatic network to have an Arab studies department in the French embassy in Cairo. And I spent 1 year there just to learn Arabic. Mm-hmm. And I was also lucky during my career to be posted in several places in the Arab world, be it in Palestine, in Morocco, in the United Arab Emirates, and now in Riyadh. Oh. And I have to say that in Riyadh, I've been using Arabic much more than any time before.
Oh, really? Oh, that's very good. We love to practice languages in order not to forget them, so that's good. How long have you been in Saudi?
Well, I arrived in Saudi Arabia last October, so I've been here for 7 months now.
7 months. So you're getting a good practice in Arabic now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, because you're a diplomat and you said you've been all over the world in so many countries, what was your impression or expectation when you were told that you'll be relocated to Saudi Arabia?
Well, first of all, being ambassador to Riyadh was a dream, and it was my first wish. So I was very happy that the President Macron decided to nominate me to this prestigious embassy. And I was also very excited because I didn't know, the kingdom before. Of course, I knew that Saudi Arabia was undergoing enormous changes in the past years, especially since the implementation of Vision 2030. Mm-hmm. But still, the country wasn't open to tourism until recently, and the kingdom is largely unknown, to foreigners. Mm-hmm. So there was a kind of mystery or so about what is really going on in Saudi Arabia. So to be honest, When I was told I would be ambassador, I was very happy, but I didn't really know what to expect on a daily basis, especially when it comes to interaction, with the government, with the people. So I was very curious about the country, about the society, but I had a lot of question marks about how we live, how we work here.
Yeah, this is so. Where did you go first to get any of these answers before you came, or you waited until you came and found out yourself?
Well, I read a lot, and I heard a lot about Saudi Arabia, but you cannot really discover a country through books and articles and even reportage, TV. You need to feel it, to touch it. And so I must say that when I arrived, and a few days after my arrival, I was very positively surprised by what I found here in Saudi Arabia. A very vivid society, dynamic country, and it was also very surprising for me because we were, at the global level in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis.
Yes.
And despite that, Saudi Arabia was very lively, very dynamic. Of course, I arrived during the G20 presidency by Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And France is part of G20, so
yes.
we had a lot of opportunities to cooperate. And I discovered very quickly a lot of places, both in Riyadh and outside Riyadh. And so I was very impressed by what I saw, what I've seen so far. The people I met also, very young Saudi men and women, including in senior positions, both in the public, in the private sector, who work very hard to advance their country.
Yes.
And I would say on a personal level, I had the chance to do numerous trips, inside the country, which I used to say is not a country, it's a continent. I mean,
Yes.
viewing the size of Saudi Arabia. So I had the chance to discover the richness and the diversity of landscapes, of traditions, customs, in the Najd, of course, but also in Hejaz, in Atir, Tabuk, Qasim, Al-Ula, Sharqiyya. So I have tried, in the first 6 months to touch several regions.
Yes.
Of course, a lot of work awaits me here in Riyadh.
Yes.
But I think it's very important for an ambassador or a diplomat just to leave, the capital sometime to discover the countryside and the country.
Yes,
and
Ambassador,
this was
let me
really
take
surprising.
Let's take a quick break. We'll continue our talk with our guest ambassador, and we will come back and ask you about these places that you've been to. You're listening to SRFM, Meet the Ambassadors program with Dr. Taghreed Alsaraj. We're continuing our talk about culture and languages with our guest ambassador, His Excellence Ludovic Poul from France. Welcome back, Ambassador.
Thank you. Welcome.
Ambassador, before we went on this quick break, you were talking about the cities that you've been around into Saudi. Can you tell us a bit more on the cities that you've been into and which one is considered your favorite so far?
It's a difficult question. Well, I have been impressed by all my trips, around the country. Both in the east and the west, in the north and the south. I've been very impressed by the green mountains of Atir, to be frank, and the great heritage, in this region. This is not something that we expect when coming to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia as everybody sees Saudi Arabia as a country of desert,
yes.
Sand and sun. Of course,
and camels. Let's not forget the camels.
Camels,
yes.
But and falcons. I love falcons.
Yes.
But mountains and very high mountains and
yes.
with greenery and so on. This is not very well known. So I was very much impressed, and also by the. I've been welcome everywhere very warmly. By Saudis. Everywhere I go, every time, it's amazing. I mean, the sense of hospitality that you have in this country is, of course, it's well known for Arabs,
Yes.
but it's clearly not a legend, and especially here in Saudi Arabia. And I have to say that I'm particularly impressed by the way Saudis receive me during Ramadan for iftars, for suhoors. You know, it's of course a very special moment, you know, this holy month of Ramadan, and to spend those evenings, you know, with Saudi friends within the families, you know, that's the best way to understand better, you know, the society, the customs, and also to create, you know, bridges between
the two cultures
and civilization. Because at the end of the day, the role of an ambassador is, of course, to create those, to build those bridges and to build, you know, those connections between the people, not only, you know, between governments. And I used to say that in the last 20 years during my career in the Arab world, I was a great promoter of cultural dialogue between the East and the West, between France and the Arab world. And here in Saudi Arabia, it's quite easy. I meet a lot of artists, I meet a lot of creators, and that's really amazing. And I'm also very much impressed by the fact that people in Saudi Arabia, they love France, they love the French culture, and so it's something that touches me a lot. Now, coming back to your question about the favorite place in Saudi Arabia, I have to say that among all the places I visited, I have a personal, I would say, feeling and love for one place, which is Al Ula. For me, Al Ula is really both through the landscape, through the archaeological treasures, through history, is an amazing place. The first time I discovered it, I was absolutely speechless in front of the uniqueness of the place. This is truly something exceptional, a very wonderful experience to live, and I'm very lucky to have had the chance to live it also several times. I visited Al Ula several times, and I'm very proud.
Mr. Ambassador, I'm already envious because I haven't visited Al Ula and you've already visited a couple of times, so this is very good to hear.
You know, I was planning to say, you know, to you and to all people listening to us that really this is a place you have to visit. Yes. And, you know, I'm also very proud as an ambassador that France and Saudi Arabia have a unique partnership in order to develop this World Heritage Site. We have a French agency named Afalula, which works, you know, hand in hand with the Royal Commission for Al Ula to build, you know, a sustainable tourism, sustainable economy in this region. And I will certainly invite all my fellow citizens to visit Saudi after the pandemic and to discover Al Ula, which is a true jewel for humanity.
It's in my bucket list. It's on the top of it. I have to get to it. But now, after hearing all of this, I am on the plane next.
Yeah, you are ready to go. Yes. I used to say people who haven't gone, you know, to Al Ula yet, haram alayhim. I mean, they have really to visit
haram alaykum. Yes. So, Mr. Ambassador, when people move and live outside of their own country, in all over, and which you did, they sometimes experience some culture shock. So if you look back to when you first came to Saudi, was there any stories or anything that you can share? It doesn't have to be in Saudi. It could be anywhere because you've traveled so much and you've lived abroad. So what was something that was interesting to tell us and also to learn from if traveling to other places and living in other countries?
Yeah, personally, I think it's really a chance for me, for my family, you know, to be able to travel and to discover countries, new populations, new cultures. Now, I cannot say that in the Arab world I'm now lost in translation. It's not the case anymore. But it was the case. When I arrived first in Cairo, I had just, you know, a few Arabic words and sentences that I've learned in the university in France. And I didn't know anything about the Arabic dialect and so on. And when I tried to find for an apartment, in Cairo, I had a lot of difficulties, to express myself. So I was speaking, Fusha, but very classical one with, very basic words. And people were laughing at me and say, okay, you don't speak Arabic, you speak like Latin. and so it was a shock for me, because I discovered that you can learn Arabic in the French universities or European universities, but at the end of the day, if you don't go to the country,
yes.
And learn the dialect, and be able, just to do shopping, to go to the taxi, and to speak, a common language, then it's very difficult to integrate, into the society, and so it was indeed a cultural shock. So I learned very quickly Arabic, the Al-Ammiya, Egyptian dialect,
yes,
and to be frank, this dialect was very useful, because anywhere I go, in the Arab world,
it's easy.
Everybody understands the Egyptian dialect because of the movies, because of the classical songs. I'm a fan of Kulthum and Abdel Halim Hafez, and so it helped me a lot in a way, the Egyptian language to integrate everywhere.
Yeah, it's the most easiest to understand from all the Arabic dialects. And you've said it right. Learning a language on books is so much different than actually practicing it and going in with speaking with the natives and knowing what to say and how to say it. There's always also how to say the language, so that makes a difference as well. And you got firsthand experience in that. So coming back to Saudi, what can you tell us about the French language here in Saudi?
I must say that I was really impressed by how the people, are attracted by French culture, French institutions, cultural institutions, but also the French language. Of course, we are not in a Francophone country, I would say, but even those who don't speak French always insist when we meet the first time on saying a few words like bonjour, merci, comment ça va, and this makes me, of course, it makes me very happy,
yes.
Both as a French ambassador, but also as a French citizen.
Yes.
And I have to say that also, of course, Arabic is the language for Saudi Arabia, and English is the first foreign language in the country. We have more than 150,000 people speaking French in Saudi Arabia.
No.
And today we have more than 20,000 people learning French every year in either schools, universities, or the French alliances in Riyadh, Jeddah, and Khobar.
Yes.
So I'm very confident that more and more Saudis will choose to learn French in the coming years. In my view, French, like Arabic, is part of the diversity of the world.
Yes.
We cannot have a world where everybody will speak just one language. It's impossible.
Yes.
And so part of the richness and the diversity is to learn foreign languages and to promote them. And I'm very proud to speak Arabic, and I'm encouraging all the French citizens, we have 6,000 French citizens in the kingdom. Mm-hmm. I am encouraging them to learn Arabic, even some basics. And I'm also proud that the French president has decided to reinforce the teaching of Arabic language in France in the public schools.
Okay,
and I really hope that in Saudi we will be able in the coming years to reintroduce the French language in the public schools. That's something very important.
From my experience, because I lived in France for a year in Toulon, and in Toulon, I've learned French, but I lost it because the language, and I really have to give this advice to everybody. If you start learning a language, you must practice it or it will go away. So practice. So if you start learning a language, make sure you got somebody with you that you can practice it with to get better and to keep it up, so not to lose it. It was great talking to you, Mr. Ambassador, and I look forward to seeing you one of these days, maybe in Riyadh, inshallah. And thank you for coming on this program. I know you have a busy schedule. Thank you for making some time for us. If you have any
A
last
pleasure.
words to say?
No, it's a pleasure. And again, I'm so happy and lucky to be the French ambassador in Saudi Arabia. I want to visit all places in the country, to visit all, to meet with all Saudis, especially the young people, because I'm amazed by the dynamism of the youth in this country. And I really work for, building those cultural bridges between France and Saudi Arabia. And I look forward to meeting you and to pursuing our cooperation.
Inshallah. You're listening to Meet the Ambassadors program on SRFM. Our guest today was His Excellence Ambassador Ludovic Poul from France. Thank you for listening, and until our next episode with a new guest ambassador, take care and goodbye.
Meet the Ambassador, a program that highlights a friendly chat with the ambassador's impression on the kingdom. Meet the Ambassador with Dr Taghreed Alsaraj and Bender Asiri. Stay tuned on SRFM.